First contact and hidden agendas. The Arcturus glided silently through the inky void of space, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Elora Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The massive ship, Earth's first interstellar vessel, carried the hopes and dreams of humanity within its titanium walls. "We're approaching the coordinates, Captain," Lieutenant Marcus Reeves announced, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "ETA 5 minutes. Elora nodded, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. After decades of searching, humanity had finally received a response to their interstellar broadcasts. The message had been brief, cryptic, but unmistakably alien in origin. It had directed them to this very spot, an unremarkable patch of space in the Ophiuchus constellation. As the seconds ticked by, tension mounted on the bridge. The crew, hand-picked from the best and brightest Earth had to offer, held their collective breath. Elora's mind wandered to the classified briefings, the heated debates among world leaders, and the decision to send the Arcturus on this historic mission. They were to make first contact, establish peaceful relations if possible, and above all, ensure the safety and advancement of humanity. Suddenly, the ship's sensors blared to life. "Contact," shouted the tactical officer, her voice tinged with awe. Massive energy signature detected. Before their eyes, space itself seemed to ripple and tear. A shimmering portal materialized, swirling with colors that defied description. From its depths emerged a vessel that dwarfed the Arcturus, its surface a mesmerizing blend of organic curves and crystalline structures. "Open a channel," Elora commanded, straightening her uniform. "This is Captain Elora Chen of the Earthship Arcturus. We come in peace and friendship." For a moment, silence reigned. Then, response crackled through the ship's speakers. The alien voice was melodious, almost hypnotic, as it bypassed their ears and resonated directly in their minds. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the Axiom, guardians of galactic order. Your arrival has been long anticipated." The next few hours passed in a blur of diplomatic exchanges and cautious negotiations. The Axiom, it seemed, represented a coalition of advanced species dedicated to maintaining peace and fostering progress throughout the galaxy. They spoke of wonders beyond human comprehension, faster than light travel, unlimited clean energy, and the eradication of disease. As Elora and a small delegation prepared to board the alien vessel, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's stenobiologist, approached her with furrowed brows. "Captain," Yuki whispered, her eyes darting nervously, "something doesn't feel right. Their biology, their technology, it's too perfect, too convenient. Are we really ready for this?" Elora placed a reassuring hand on Yuki's shoulder, even as doubt gnawed at her own mind. "We have to be, Doctor. The future of our species depends on it." Aboard the Axiom ship, Elora and her team marveled at the impossible architecture and breathtaking vistas of alien worlds projected on holographic displays. Their hosts, beings of swirling energy contained within vaguely humanoid shells, guided them through corridors that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The Axiom Elder, a being called Zephyr, spoke of a bright future. "Your species has great potential, Captain Chen. With our guidance, humanity could take its rightful place among the stars. But first, you must prove yourselves worthy." "Worthy?" Elora asked, a chill running down her spine. "How?" Zephyr's form shimmered, and for a brief moment, Elora thought she glimpsed something darker beneath the benevolent facade. "Every species that joins our coalition must demonstrate their value. Your adaptability, your drive, your capacity for action in the face of adversity. These are qualities we prize." As the tour continued, Elora's unease grew. The Axiom spoke of peace, yet their ship bristled with weapons beyond human understanding. They preached unity, but hinted at conflicts with lesser races who refused their guidance. And always, there were the subtle probes into humanity's military capabilities, their response to threats, their willingness to do whatever was necessary to survive. Back on the Arcturus, Ilara called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The excitement of first contact had given way to a gnawing sense of dread. "They're not telling us everything," she began, pacing the conference room. "Dr. Tanaka, what have you discovered about their biology?" Yuki's hands trembled as she pulled up her findings on the main screen. "Their DNA, if you can call it that, is unlike anything we've ever seen. It's adaptive, almost predatory in nature. And there are similarities to some of the most aggressive species in Earth's evolutionary history." Lieutenant Reeves leaned forward, his face grim. "The weapons I glimpsed on their ship. They're not defensive. They're designed for planetary bombardment, for wiping out entire civilizations." A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, hoping to find wisdom and friendship among the stars. Instead, they had stumbled into a cosmic arena where they were little more than pawns. Laura's mind raced, weighing their options. They were hopelessly outgunned, cut off from Earth, with no way to warn their homeworld of the potential threat. Yet, the Axiom had not attacked. They wanted something from humanity, something only the crucible of conflict could forge. "We play along," Ilara finally declared, her voice steel. "We learn everything we can, we stay alert, and we prepare. Humanity has faced extinction before and survived. If these Axiom want to test us, they'll find we're full of surprises." As the meeting adjourned, Ilara gazed out at the alien ship looming beyond. In its crystalline surface, she saw not the promise of a utopian future, but a mirror reflecting the darkest aspects of human nature. Survival, ambition, the capacity for violence in the name of a greater good. These were the qualities that had propelled humanity to the stars. Now, they might be the only things that could save them. The journey that had begun with hope and wonder now teetered on the brink of an abyss. As Ilara prepared to once again face the Axiom, she steeled herself for the battles to come. Humanity had been thrust onto a galactic stage, and the price of failure was extinction. But in the crucible of stars, perhaps they would forge a destiny greater than anyone, human or alien, could have imagined. The price of progress. The Arcturus hung in space like a mote of dust next to the colossal Axiom vessel. Inside, Captain Ilara Chen paced the corridors, her mind racing with possibilities and dangers. The past week had been a whirlwind of technological marvels and veiled threats, each Axiom gift coming with strings attached. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's lab had become a hive of activity, analyzing the alien biotech that promised to cure every human disease. "It's incredible," she murmured, eyes glued to a microscope. "But the integration process, it's changing human cellular structure at a fundamental level." Ilara frowned. "Changing how?" Yuki's face was grim. "It's making us more like them. More adaptable, yes, but also more aggressive at a cellular level. I'm seeing increased neural plasticity, enhanced adrenal responses. They're not curing us," Ilara realized. "They're weaponizing us." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Marcus Reeves grappled with the Axiom's weapons technology. The power at his fingertips was intoxicating. Simulations showed they could now vaporize entire continents. "We could protect Earth from any threat," he argued, "or become the threat ourselves," Ilara countered. As the days passed, the crew's behavior subtly shifted. Tempers flared more easily. Minor disagreements escalated into shouting matches. Ilara watched helplessly as her once cohesive team began to fracture. The Axiom, for their part, seemed pleased. Ziffer's crystalline form shimmered with approval during their daily briefings. "You're progressing faster than expected," the alien purred. "Soon, you'll be ready for your first trial." Ilara's blood ran cold. Trial. Ziffer's form rippled, revealing glimpses of a monstrous shape beneath. "There are species in this galaxy that resist our guidance. Dangerous races that threaten the cosmic order. Your people will help us maintain peace." The implication was clear. Humanity was being groomed not as allies, But as soldiers, attack dogs to be unleashed on the Axiom's enemies. Back on the Arcturus, Ilara called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The conference room crackled with tension, crew members eyeing each other warily. "We're at a crossroads," Ilara began. "The Axiom offer power beyond our wildest dreams, but at what cost? Our humanity. Our free will." Debate erupted immediately. Some, like Marcus, argued for embracing the Axiom's gifts. "We've always adapted to survive," he insisted. "This is no different." Others, led by Yuki, urged caution. "We're changing too fast, losing what makes us human." As the argument heated up, Ilara saw the crew's new aggression bubbling to the surface. Insults flew, fists clenched. She slammed her hand on the table. "Enough. This is exactly what they want, to divide us, to strip away our compassion." Silence fell. Ilara took a deep breath. "We need to find a middle ground. We'll continue to learn, to adapt, but we do it our way. We hold on to our humanity, our ethics. It's the only way we survive this with our souls intact." The next day, Ilara met with Zephyr, her face a mask of determination. "We're grateful for your gifts," she began carefully, "but we need time to integrate them properly. We humans, we evolve best when we do it gradually, maintaining balance." Zephyr's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Balance is a luxury, Captain. The galaxy is a harsh place, but very well. We will give you time, and a taste of what awaits." Without warning, a swirling portal opened in space. Through it, Ilara glimpsed a hellish battleground. Alien species locked in brutal combat, worlds burning. "This is the crucible that forged us," Zephyr intoned. "It's where you, too, will be reborn. Prepare yourselves. When next we meet, you will face your trial by fire." The portal snapped shut, leaving the Arcturus alone in the void. Ilara stared at the empty space, her heart heavy. They had sought the stars seeking wisdom and brotherhood. Instead, they had found a cosmic war with humanity caught in the crossfire. As she turned back to her ship, Ilara steeled herself for the challenges ahead. They would adapt, yes, but on their own terms. In the crucible of stars, humanity would be tested, and in that testing, they would discover the true depths of their nature, for better or for worse. Betrayal and resistance. Months passed, and the Arcturus became a crucible of its own. The crew pushed the boundaries of their new abilities, walking a razor's edge between enhancement and mutation. Ilara watched as her people grew stronger, faster, their minds processing information at incredible speeds. But with each passing day, she also saw flashes of something alien in their eyes. A cold calculation, a predatory instinct that hadn't been there before. Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked tirelessly to mitigate the more extreme effects of the Axiom biotech. "I think I've found a way to stabilize the changes," she reported, dark circles under her eyes. "We can keep the enhancements without losing our essential humanity." But it was a constant battle. Some crew members, led by the increasingly militant Marcus Reeves, argued for embracing the changes fully. "We're evolving," he insisted during yet another heated debate. "Holding back only makes us vulnerable." The schism grew, with the crew fractured into factions. Ilara did her best to maintain unity, but she felt control slipping away. And always, the Axiom watched, their crystalline ships a constant, looming presence. Then came the day of their trial. A massive Axiom warship emerged from hyperspace, its weapons already charging. Zephyr's voice boomed across all frequencies. "Prove your worth, humans. Defeat our enemies, or be destroyed with them." A second portal opened, disgorging a fleet of organic-looking ships. Their crews, visible through view screens, appeared almost aquatic, tentacled beings with large, mournful eyes. "These are the Naiads," Zephyr explained, "a species that refuses our guidance, spreading chaos through the galaxy. Eliminate them, and you will have earned your place in the cosmic order." Ilara's mind raced. The Naiads had made no aggressive moves, seeming more confused than hostile. But the Axiom weapons were powering up, leaving her with seconds to decide. "Arcturus," she commanded, "place us between the Axiom and the Naiad fleet." "Captain?" Marcus questioned, his hand hovering over the weapon's controls. Illyra's voice was steel. "We didn't come here to be executioners. Open a channel to the Naiads." For a tense moment, static filled the air. Then, a gentle, melodious voice responded. The universal translators struggled, but the message was clear: "We mean no harm. We only wish to exist freely." Illyra's decision was made. "Arcturus crew, prepare for combat, but our target is not the Naiads." She turned to face the stunned bridge crew. "The Axiom have manipulated us, tried to turn us into their weapons. We won't let them succeed. Today, we fight for our humanity." What followed was chaos. The Arcturus, enhanced by Axiom tech, but piloted by human ingenuity, danced between energy beams and spatial distortions. Illyra coordinated with the Naiads, using their combined forces to outmaneuver the massive Axiom warship. But the real battle raged within the Arcturus itself. Marcus, fully given over to the Axiom's influence, attempted to seize control. "We're throwing away our destiny," he snarled, grappling with Illyra on the bridge. All around them, crew members fought their own inner demons, the Axiom's genetic tampering pushing them towards violence. Illyra felt the pull herself, the temptation to give in to rage, to crush her opponents without mercy. In engineering, Dr. Tanaka worked frantically to distribute her stabilizing agent through the ship's air supply. "Hold on," she muttered. "Just a few more minutes." The battle reached its crescendo. The Arcturus shuddered under Axiom fire, systems failing. The Naiad fleet was in tatters, and still, Illyra refused to use the full might of their weapons, knowing it would mean crossing a line they could never uncross. Just when all seemed lost, Yuki's stabilizer took effect. Across the ship, crew members stumbled, shaking their heads as if awakening from a dream. The haze of Axiom influence lifted, leaving them clear-eyed and horrified at what they'd almost become. Marcus, his humanity reasserting itself, stared at his trembling hands. "Captain, I'm sorry." Illyra nodded grimly, turning back to the viewscreen. "It's not over yet." With the crew back in control of themselves, the tide of battle turned. Human creativity, bolstered by their enhanced abilities, proved more than a match for Axiom tech. The massive warship, for all its power, found itself outmaneuvered, outgunned. In the end, it was Zephyr who retreated, the Axiom ship limping through a hastily generated portal. His final words hung in the air. "You've made a grave mistake. The galaxy will not tolerate your chaos." As the adrenaline of battle faded, Illyra surveyed her battered ship and exhausted crew. They had resisted the ultimate temptation, the promise of power in exchange for their essential humanity. But the cost had been high. "Open a channel to the Naiad fleet," she commanded softly. The aquatic beings regarded them with a mixture of fear and gratitude. Illyra chose her words carefully. "We have much to learn from each other, and a common enemy to face. Will you join us?" As human and Naiad began their tentative first steps towards true understanding, Illyra allowed herself a moment of hope. They had stared into the abyss of their own nature and pulled back from the brink. The real journey, the path of coexistence, of maintaining their humanity in a harsh and unforgiving galaxy, was just beginning. Part 4. The Awakening of Dormant Instincts. The unlikely alliance between the Arcturus and the Naiad fleet limped through space, both sides wary but united by their defiance of the Axiom. Captain Illyra Chen stood on the bridge, watching the swirling colors of a nebula through the viewscreen. The beauty of it struck her anew, a reminder of why they had ventured into the stars in the first place. But that beauty was marred by the knowledge of what lurked beyond. The Axiom would not take their rebellion lightly, and humanity, unaware of the cosmic chessboard they'd been thrust onto, remained vulnerable. "We need to warn Earth," Ilara murmured, more to herself than anyone else. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, now serving as both science officer and de facto diplomat to the Naiads, approached with a troubled expression. Captain, we've been analyzing the long-range sensor data. The Axiom, they're not just coming for us. They're mobilizing on a massive scale. Ilara's blood ran cold. Show me. The view screen filled with strategic projections, showing Axiom fleets converging from all corners of the galaxy. Their target was clear: Earth and its neighboring systems. They mean to make an example of us, Marcus Reeves said softly, the former security chief still struggling with guilt over his actions during the Axiom's influence. Ilara nodded grimly. We defied them. Prove humans can't be so easily controlled. Now they'll try to wipe us out entirely. The weight of an entire species' survival pressed down on them. The Arcturus, for all its enhancements, was just one ship. They needed an army. It was Yuki who proposed the unthinkable. The Axiom changed us, but we fought back. What if we could control that change? Use it to defend ourselves, but on our terms. The implications were staggering. To intentionally alter their crew, to push the boundaries of what it meant to be human. It went against everything Ilara had fought for. And yet, faced with extinction, could they afford to hold back? The debate raged for days. The Naiads, their new allies, watched with a mixture of fascination and horror as the humans wrestled with their very nature. In the end, it came down to a vote. Every crew member would have the choice: remain as they were, or undergo a controlled evolution to stand against the Axiom threat. Ilara, torn, made her decision. I'll go first, she declared. Whatever happens, whatever we become, our core remains the same. We fight for our right to exist, for our humanity, no matter what form it takes. The process was agonizing. Yuki's stabilizers could only do so much to ease the transition. Ilara felt her body and mind changing, dormant parts of her DNA awakening. Her senses sharpened to an almost painful degree. Strength flooded her limbs, and with it came the primal instincts they'd fought so hard to contain. The urge to dominate, to destroy any threat. But this time, they were prepared. Through sheer force of will, through constant reminders of what they fought for, Ilara and her crew shaped their evolution. They became something new, something that walked the line between human and other. Not Axiom, but not quite the humans they'd once been either. As the changes swept through the willing crew members, the Arcturus itself seemed to respond. Systems that had been incomprehensible before now hummed with new purpose. The ship became an extension of them, a weapon honed by human consciousness. The Naiads, witnessing this transformation, were both awed and terrified. You change yourselves so readily, their leader observed. Does this not frighten you? Ilara, her eyes now flickering with hints of inhuman energy, managed a grim smile. We're terrified, but we choose this change to protect who we are at our core. That's what the Axiom will never understand. As the Arcturus and its small fleet of allies raced towards Earth, they received transmissions from the embattled planet. The Axiom had arrived, their massive ships darkening the skies. Humanity fought with everything they had, but they were hopelessly outgunned. Ilara watched the desperate broadcasts, her enhanced mind processing strategies at impossible speeds. They were still outnumbered, still outgunned, but now they had something the Axiom didn't expect. Humans who had looked into the abyss of their own potential and emerged with their souls intact. All hands. Ilara's voice resonated through the ship, sounding almost musical in its new registers. We've come home, and we will not let it fall. For Earth, for every species that wants to chart its own destiny, we fight. As the Arcturus dropped out of faster-than-light travel, emerging into the chaos of Earth's defense, Ilara felt a surge of something beyond mere human emotion. It was the combined will of her crew, of the allies they'd made, all focused on one goal: survival. The final battle for humanity's future was about to begin, and with it, the ultimate test of whether they could wield their newfound power without losing what made them human in the first place. Part 5. Redemption or Damnation. The skies above Earth roiled with the fury of cosmic warfare. Axiom warships, vast and implacable, rained destruction upon cities and military installations. Earth's defenses, impressive by human standards, crumbled like sandcastles before the onslaught. It seemed that humanity's last stand would be a brief and futile one. Then, emerging from the inky blackness of space, came hope. The Arcturus, flanked by Naiad vessels, burst onto the scene like an avenging angel. But this was no ordinary ship, and its crew were no longer ordinary humans. Captain Elora Chen, her eyes blazing with barely contained energy, took in the battle with senses far beyond human norm. Tactical analysis, she commanded, her voice resonating with harmonics that made the bridge crew's bones vibrate. Marcus Reeves, his own form subtly altered, responded instantly. Axiom have planetary bombardment as their primary objective. Their fleet formation has gaps. They're not expecting significant resistance. Ilara allowed herself a predatory smile. Then let's give them a nasty surprise. All hands, battle stations. Yuki, signal the Naiads. Implement attack pattern Omega. The Arcturus moved with impossible grace, its enhanced systems guided by the collective will of its evolved crew. They struck at the Axiom weak points, coordinating seamlessly with the Naiad ships. For the first time since the invasion began, the Axiom battle group faltered. Redemption or damnation. The skies above Earth roiled with the fury of cosmic warfare. Axiom warships, vast and implacable, rained destruction upon cities and military installations. Earth's defenses, impressive by human standards, crumbled like sandcastles before the onslaught. It seemed that humanity's last stand would be a brief and futile one. Then, emerging from the inky blackness of space, came hope. The Arcturus, flanked by Naiad vessels, burst onto the scene like an avenging angel. But this was no ordinary ship, and its crew were no longer ordinary humans. Captain Elora Chen, her eyes blazing with barely contained energy, took in the battle with senses far beyond human norm. Tactical analysis, she commanded, her voice resonating with harmonics that made the bridge crew's bones vibrate. Marcus Reeves, his own form subtly altered, responded instantly. Axiom have planetary bombardment as their primary objective. Their fleet formation has gaps. They're not expecting significant resistance. Ilara allowed herself a predatory smile. Then let's give them a nasty surprise. All hands, battle stations. Yuki, signal the Naiads. Implement attack pattern Omega. The Arcturus moved with impossible grace, its enhanced systems guided by the collective will of its evolved crew. They struck at the Axiom weak points, coordinating seamlessly with the Naiad ships. For the first time since the invasion began, the Axiom battle group faltered. On Earth's surface, beleaguered defenders watched in awe as streaks of light crisscrossed the sky. Axiom ships, previously untouchable, began to fall. Hope, that most human of emotions, began to spread like wildfire. The Axiom were not so easily defeated. Zephyr's flagship, a behemoth that dwarfed even the largest human vessels, moved to engage the Arcturus directly. You disappoint us, humans, Zephyr's voice boomed across all frequencies. We offered you perfection, and you choose chaos. Ilara stood firm on her bridge, feeling the power coursing through her veins. It would be so easy to give in, to unleash their full potential and annihilate their enemies. The temptation clawed at her, at all of them. This was the real test, not of their strength, but of their humanity. We choose freedom, Ilara replied, her voice carrying the weight of an entire species' determination. The right to chart our own course, to make our own mistakes. We are not your weapons, Zephyr. We are not your soldiers. We are human, in all our flawed, beautiful complexity. The battle that followed was unlike anything Earth had ever witnessed. The Arcturus and Zephyr's flagship danced a deadly waltz through the debris-strewn orbital space. Energy weapons capable of scouring continents lashed out, only to be deflected by shields that defied physics. But for all their power, for all their evolution, the Arcturus crew found themselves slowly being overwhelmed. Zephyr's ship was simply too massive, its weapons too devastating. As alarms blared and systems failed, Ilara felt a moment of doubt. Had they come so far, changed so much, only to fail at the final hurdle? She looked around at her crew, human, yet not, their forms flickering with barely contained energy. They had sacrificed so much. Would it all be in vain? It was Yuki who provided the answer. The scientist, her mind now capable of calculations that would beggar supercomputers, approached Ilara with fire in her eyes. "Captain," she said, her voice urgent, "I've analyzed their shield frequency. There's a pattern, a flaw in the energy distribution. If we hit it just right." Ilara understood immediately. It would set off a chain reaction. But Yuki, at this range? Yuki nodded grimly. "We'd be caught in the blast, but Earth would be saved." The weight of the decision pressed down on Ilara. She looked at her crew, saw the same resolve in their eyes. They had started this journey seeking the stars. Now, they would give their lives to protect the home they'd left behind. "All hands," Ilara's voice rang out, steady and clear. "It's been an honor serving with you. For Earth, for humanity. Let's finish this." The Arcturus surged forward, every scrap of power diverted to engines and weapons. They plunged towards the weak point in Zephyr's shields. A kamikaze run on a cosmic scale. Zephyr, realizing too late what was happening, attempted to withdraw, but the Arcturus, guided by the combined will of its evolved crew, was too quick. They struck the shield with surgical precision, their weapons enhanced by the very changes the axiom had initiated. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent flash that outshone the sun, Zephyr's flagship began to disintegrate. The chain reaction spread, consuming axiom ships like a firestorm. On the Arcturus, as klaxons blared and the hull began to buckle, Ilara allowed herself a small smile. They had done it. Earth was saved. Humanity would survive, free to chart its own destiny among the stars. As the wave of energy approached, Ilara closed her eyes. In that final moment, she felt more human than she ever had before. They had faced the darkness within themselves and emerged victorious. Whatever came next, they had proven that humanity's strength lay not in perfection, but in their capacity to choose, to sacrifice, to love. The Arcturus disappeared in a blaze of light, its final act one of supreme heroism. In the aftermath, as the people of Earth emerged from shelters to see a sky cleared of axiom ships, a new era dawned. The sacrifice of the Arcturus crew would be remembered for generations. Their example of holding on to one's humanity, even in the face of unimaginable change, would guide Earth as it took its first tentative steps into a wider galactic community. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of space, energy patterns that were once human began a new journey. For in a universe of infinite possibilities, perhaps even death was not the end, but simply another transformation. The crucible of stars had tested humanity and found them worthy, not perfect, not unstoppable, but resilient, adaptable, and fundamentally good. It was a legacy that would echo through the cosmos for eons to come.